is trying to be connected, but she's not getting any probably connection problem.
Okay. Let him try. I will keep messaging him. We are going live now. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Namaste, and good morning. Hearty welcome to the session of the three-day international conference being held online in collaboration with Sahitya Academy and FOSWAL. This is the fifth session. On this fine morning, the day opens with this session, which is meant for poetry readings. I'm happy that since the beginning, Ajit Ma is there with us. In this session, Muhammad Noor ul Huda Sahab, a poet from Bangladesh, will chair. And the poets present here with us are Bimal Guhaji from Bangladesh, Pushpa Acharya-ji from Nepal, Binod Khaitan-ji, Mukul Kumarji from India, Shador Wangmo from Bhutan, Shekhar Banerjeeji from India, and other poets, I hope, will join us soon. Shador Wangmo also with us. She is from Bhutan. So hearty welcome. At the outset, should I request Bimal Guhaji to recite a couple of his poems?
Thank you, sir. Respected Ajit Ji and distinguished audience. Me, Bimal Guha from Dhaka, Bangladesh. I entered in the literary arena of scene of Bangladesh just after liberation war in 1971. I mainly write poem and also write literary articles, travelogue, memoirs, etc. Published 38 books till today, out of which 33 books are of poems. I will not take many times for introduction. I am going to recite my poem just now. I will recite my first poem. This is Against War, because now we see the poets are always against war, because war is against peace of the nation and peace of the universe, peace of the globe. Against war. War is a sky-shattering fierce roar. Quick footsteps full of tearful wails, a terrible, terrible thing. We have taken our stand against all wars. War is a clever ruse of antagonistic states, fiery wars full of fierce anger, a follow-up of revenge, loud cries. War is a terrible, terrible thing. We have taken our stand against all wars. War is arrogant display of muscle with no principle. It often begins with a false show of friendship. It is full of bombs, cocktails, atomic explosions, and smoke bullets from machine guns, destruction of all human values, burning down the home of one's neighbor. War is a terrible, terrible thing. We have taken our stand against all wars. And I have time probably. My second poem is O Corona. Now we are passing to a Corona regime, and it is almost we are winning race. The Corona is about to go from the human area. O Corona, take me if you can. I am writing down all your awful deeds. Suddenly, I know not how, you spread plumes of smokes, blacken the world. What is the bravery you have? Moved through the clandestine path. You entered into the different empire unexpectedly, before any comprehension, and spread out poisonous fume. Ignited flames of wrath in diverse directions. Corona, I spit on your face. Remember, human beings can never be defeated to death. They know how to embrace death easily. Valiant never bow heads and clash their hands. They are engaged in defensive battle. Today, I doubt them the detailed description for the next generation. Someday, those who will read your dreadful deeds shall spit to your face with sheer indignation. Your route will be clocked easily, shall take over the duties of the earth with intellect. Then your entry to the earth will forever be forbidden. Corona, want to take me? Okay. But remember, the life cycle, the route, technique I came to know, I will hand over to my offspring. I will describe them everything. How you have entered this earth like a nor'easter, have spread your unholy wind, spread the life annihilating poison to men innumerable. Today I have noted down all your intoxicating nature for our future generations. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Bimal sir. Next, let's invite Pushpa Acharyaji, a noted poet from Nepal. May I request you, Pushpaji, to kindly briefly introduce first yourself and recite a couple of poems. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishnaji. I hope you can hear me. And Ajitji, and I can see all other poets I have met in different occasions. I am a poet and a scholar. At the moment, I am in University of Toronto in Canada, and I have been part of FOSWAL and part of this festival since 2009 and 10. So I will read a Nepali poem in meter, in Chanda, which is Panchachamar Chanda with 15 syllables, and its translation. This poem is a part of a movement. We had started a conservation poetry movement. So it's inspiration, like Kali Ganga as a river that becomes inspiration. And it was written in a northern part of Nepal where there is a site called Muktinath. So I'll first read the Nepali version and then its translation. I'll take around 5 minutes in total. Anubhutima Kali. हिमाललेख बीचमा सुरम्य नागबेलीमा बनी सुगन्ध कस्तुरी र प्रेरणा तरङ्गमा मनाद ब्रह्मनादको सुसाउँदैछु शून्यमा मनै अनन्त कामना र सार सर्व प्राणमा हरेक देह हंसमा उठाई काव्य बादल प्रशान्ति द्वार खोल्दछन् विवेक सूर्य झलमल मसात रङ्ग रङ्गी हजार फूल रच्दछु अनङ्ग अन्तरङ्गमा म दिव्य रङ्ग भर्दछु प्रसून साथ हाँस्दछु म नूरको प्रवाह हुँ म दूर दूर देश की सुदूर चारुवाह हूँ म पूर्णता समस्तता म मस्त एक गीत हूँ प्रफुल्लता मनुष्यता म सभ्यता प्रताप हूँ पुकार हुन्छु चित्तमा सकार प्यार मस्तता पिएर प्यासमा तिमी बने स्वयं प्रमत्तता म दिन्छु टाकुरा कला गुलाफको सुगन्धको तिमी चढेर शैलमा बनाऊ सृष्टि स्वर्गको विदेह शक्ति कल्पना छचल के दो सिर्जना म जान्छु रे जता तता लिएर प्रेम चेतना छरेर सभ्य क्रान्तिको प्रचण्ड शौर्य भावना वहन्छु चिरकालयै विराट काव्य चिन्तना. Now the translation in English. Kali Ganga in feelings. Among the snow-capped mountains and highlands, I run along the serpentine bends, changing into the musk of deer and the wave of inspiration. I resound the great cosmic emptiness. I am the music of inner consciousness. I am the infinite desires, the essence of all souls. The radiant sun of wisdom breeds the clouds of poetry in body and soul, and opens the doors to profound sense of harmony. I transform into 7 colors and create 1,000 flowers. I fill the formless inner world with heavenly colors. I smile with the fresh buds. I am the flow of the soft glowing light. I bring a charm from a distant country, carry it to a faraway land. I am the whole, the total, an ecstasy, a song of bliss, joy of humanity, glory of civilizations. Call me and you'll find me in your heart. Please accept this love, a marvelous trance. I give you the summit of art, incensed by the essence of roses. Climb to the top and create a paradise. Unbounded, this amorphous energy, this imagination, this splashing creation. Mine is pilgrimage to an ancient awareness of love. I spread the seeds of fine, refined, fiery revolution. I flow till eternity, a vast poetic consciousness. Thank you very much.
Pushpaji, one more poem you can recite.
Here's another one. It's in my anthology, an English anthology named Dreamcatcher. Forest. Tranquility drops on a leaf, like the crescent moon from the rain clouds, like the cold mist from the mountains, like a crystal in deep contemplation, and slides through the moisture of the crust of a wet tree trunk and goes down to soil. A brook of the croaking green frogs and silver-bellied fish has many stones layered with moss. On each of them, the forest creates a hologram of echoes, swailing from birds, insects, animals, monkeys, hunters, and the kids playing in the villages. A continuity. But the forest has sharp teeth chiseled in serenity. Slowly, silently, the forest moves with some slithering curves and a wide open mouth. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Pushpaji. Next, we will invite Vinod Khaitanji, noted poet from India. Sir, please unmute yourself first.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you are.
Thank you, Ajit Kaur Madam Ji and Krishna Ji, for giving me this opportunity. I will read my first poem both in Hindi and English, translated by myself. I'm not very good at translation, but then originally I write in Hindi. And it will be non-corona, non-war poem, because I know a lot of corona and war-related poems will be heard. घर, शीर्षक है घर, पहले हिंदी. पिता ने एक घर बनाया था, मैं नहीं रहता उस शहर में. दादा ने जो घर बनाया था, पिता उसी घर में थे बहुत साल, और फिर आते जाते रहे, कच्ची पक्की दीवारों की मरम्मत भी कराते रहे. अंत तक। दादा के पिता ने जो घर बनाया होगा वह क्या अब भी वहीं खड़ा होगा या पड़ा होगा अपनी आंखों में कुछ उम्मीद लिए? पता नहीं। दादा के दादा का नाम मुझे बताया तो गया था, पर क्यों भूल सा जाता हूँ। बहरहाल सोचता हूँ मेरे बाद घर में सीमेंट और लोहा तो बहुत होगा।
चिंता करो तो
बहरहाल सोचता हूँ मेरे बाद मेरे घर में सीमेंट और लोहा तो बहुत होगा, पर क्या चुंबक भी होगा कि वापस बार बार आएंगे मेरे बच्चे? तो an effort in translation for those who perhaps do not relish Hindi as much. My father had built a house. I do not stay in that town. My father stayed long enough in that house built by my grandfather, and afterwards also stayed there frequent enough while shifting slowly out, and was dutiful in maintaining the house lest the walls fall. I wonder my grandfather's father would have built a house. Is it still there, standing, or even lying dilapidated, with some faint hope in its eyes? Frankly, I do not know, though I was perhaps told about the name of my forefathers, but I keep forgetting the names of my elders. Yes, I do wonder, after me, my house will have enough concrete and cement in it, but will it have enough magnet? Will my children keep coming to my house? Do I have one more time for one more poem?
Yes, please.
So this I'm straight away I'm reading in translation. First rain of the season. We are into March end, and every year I feel that this poem becomes, relevant in this season. Every year in summers, why one feels the first rain of this season will be the first rain in life. Why they are seemingly long simmering afternoons, wandering nights in sleep, and the breathing on sick bed, and why novels are long, often sorrowful and complex, and the soothing small words and sentences very little and far and few. Why the life does not understand its grammar, why the life does not understand its grammar, and remaining disorganized always, and the relationships, though thoughtful, but still complex. Why the clouds do not last long in summers, and tiny shades of rains exhaust fast to make life again simmering and sultry. Why, while facing the heat of life, our memory gets blurred about seasons of the past, and every year at the beginning of the summers, it seems that the first rain of the season will be the first rain in life. Thank you so much.
Lovely. Thank you, Vinodji. We will now invite Mukul Kumarji.
Thank you.
At the outset, let me extend my sincere thanks to BIMSTEC and Sahitya Academy for this invite and opportunity to recite my poems. Good morning, distinguished poets and audience. When I received this invite, I felt instantly drawn in. For the subject, environment and literature, intrigued me for its relevance that can't be overemphasized in the current times. There is an independent discipline, eco-criticism, which deals with this relation between environment and literature, how literature in fact treats environment. So I will recite a couple of poems that echo the concern and the care for the environment in the current times. My first poem is The Cloud of Tears. It is the literary dwelling upon the phenomenon of acidic rains. And it is a conversation between the earth and the cloud. So here it goes, The Cloud of Tears. You look so ripe, why don't you rain? The wedded earth cries out, past and pained. The cloud squirms under guilt, shy and shirking. I too crave for your kiss, the feel of your redemptive bliss, but I am worthy of you no more. Can't bless you with sycamore. I am vapor of the tears you have wept. I am vapor of the tears you have wept, inflicting on you your own tears. Let me bear this steamy bosom, the hapless smoke of pain. No rain upon me, lest I should crack up. The earth sounds feverish. Civilization is the witness. It is for the tears and tears alone to resurrect their smiles. And I will recite another poem that celebrates nature. Literature in fact mirrors, society. So here it was a poem that, brought out that care and concern. And this poem celebrates the beauty of nature. And I'm reminded of the famous quote, like, I believe in God, but I spell it nature. So this, here goes the title, A Testimony to Divinity. The spring winds stir in the boughs, setting them into quiet quiver. Caress my ears with a sweet, sonorous whisper and rustle over me, and I rejoice this sheath of a nameless pleasure. Birds flit in the hedges and bushes to set them off into the tremor of thrill, and hop and peck about in a wide wonder, the chirps and chirrups echoing the silences. Bees buzz around and butterflies hover with a frantic freedom, unlocking a curious wanderlust in me. My wondered being, nimble and wide, thirsting for more, travels to the sky that is radiant, celestial, with a liquid gold, the iridescent clouds, misshapen and mesmerizing, wandering, galore and gay, and the starlings and the birds unknown fly wide-winged on their way. The noon wanes, and into the gold infuses some dark silver, and around the ball of fire, orange, lavender, turquoise, and what not turns the iridescent gray, and the birds in droves get set in spray. Time turns winged, and the mood gets steeped in an ecstatic melancholy, and I am moved, motionless, awakened into a sublime slumber when the senses unite to serve the spirit, and the divine faith demands no demonstration. Can I recite one more poem?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think it is, we are witnessing, world is witnessing one of the worst wars in the recent times, this Russia-Ukraine war. So this poem has been is born of the actual site of war-ravaged Ukraine. So this poem is titled The Manticore. At the outset, let me just, tell you what Manticore is. Manticore is a Persian legendary creature that has the head of a human, the body of a lion, and the tail of a scorpion. So here goes the poem, The Manticore. An infant in the throes of helpless tears is perched atop the bosom of the mother. His frantic nudges to wake her up unanswered. His hungry cries amplifying the macabre silence. The life is too young to learn death. Sleep and death are synonyms. On platter is blood, not milk. Death has just finished its dance, and ominous hiatus may be the corpse's litter on the sheet of blood, torn or smeared, the bosom of the bombed earth, bleeding with a terrible tremor. A toddler's tears are tireless. A toddler's tears are tireless. Their scream sends the silence into a cacophonous crescendo. The tremor mutates into quake as a manticore prowls around. The earth groaning under its lurid limbs, its eyes snigger a terrible victory. The looks shining thirsty for the blood is still on platter, and the tail wagging in a gory glee to suck out the life that is left gasping. The arrival upon the child, silence with shock, the tears trapped in his incarcerated sighs, horror trips the trajectory of the imagination. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mukul Kumarji. We will now invite Chadur Wangmoji, noted poet from Bhutan.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity that Sahitya Academy has provided us with this platform, bringing in poets from Nepal, India, Bangladesh, and Bhutan together in this session. It's always a pleasure to see Ma Ajit Ji on screen, although I would love to see her in person, but seeing her on the screen is also a huge privilege, I would say. So with this now, before I read my poems, news out here that we people in Thimphu, we were in lockdown, and just today, the lockdown is being lifted and people are now coming out in droves. But still then, the virus is still rampant. We are seeing increasing number of Omicron positive people in our city. So it's quite disturbing. And it's in such a disturbing situation, I couldn't help but seek the sanctuary that nature provides us, seek the solace that our environment provides us. So the two poems that I'm going to read out is using nature, the environment, as a metaphor for the bigger things that we have in life. I hope you enjoy it. So the first one is the silence of the forest. I went a-picking one gloomy afternoon. I knew happiness grew abundantly in forest, untouched by lies and deception of the mundane humanly life. So I picked my backpack, flung it on my back, already half bent, carrying the agonies of life, and age riding heavy on it. In the forest, I listened to strange silence, punctuated by bird calls. I knew whatever or whoever filled this forest with its silence had the secret hidden in its heart. One, and then two. My back bent, sent my tired limbs scrambling on the wet floor of the forest. In the hazy days, I picked a fallen pine cone. Then I picked two, filled my backpack like a pregnant lady, and I returned home with the silence of the forest echoing in my soul. Thank you. Much as I would love to have the silence of the forest, the secret of the forest to be deciphered, but I know we are all humans and we can never understand what nature holds. So it reminded me of the other poem that I had written a long time ago, and it is in my book Phases. This was a little game that I used to play as a young girl. And when I go back to those days, it was such a carefree time. It was such a happiness-filled time. But at the same time, now I realize that as a young girl playing that game, maybe I was being cruel to the nature around me. Maybe I was being cruel to the things in the nature that was around me. So maybe what we are going through, what I'm going through just now, is the karma that I would strongly believe in. The Omicron cases increasing day by day, I was telling you about. So maybe I feel that it's karma that's coming back to us for all the things that we do to nature. So let me read my second poem. It's called Changing Times. I still remember the sultry summers of the town I lived in, chasing dragonflies buzzing above the algae-laden trains by the roadside, winding like a never-ending dream. Life passed by in giggles and laughter, while the dragonflies perhaps cried. To get rid of the string tied at its end, while children laughed, following and pulling the thread. I don't know how many of you must have done it, but when I was a little girl, I used to do that, tying a thread at the end of the dragonfly and then chasing the dragonfly, pulling that thread. Life passed by in giggles and laughter, while the dragonflies perhaps cried. To get rid of the string tied at its end, while children laughed, following and pulling the thread. I no longer chase dragonflies, and I don't laugh at such silly act. Life has crossed huge mound of years. Grave concerns tugs at my soul. Perhaps an invisible dragonfly flies somewhere, pulling that invisible thread. But it's no longer summer here. And I no longer live in that town. Yet there are threads tied and emotions played with. Thank you so much. So those were the two poems that I wanted to read out in this session. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Shekhar, ma'am. I now invite Shekhar, sir. Shekhar Banerjeeji.
Thank you, Mukulji, and a very good morning to all respected fellow poets from India and the neighboring countries. I'm Shekhar Banerjee. I have 4 poetry collections in English and a monograph on an Indo-Nepal border tribe, and several publications in Bengali as well. And recently I received a Pushkar nomination for my English poems, and I served as secretary Paschim Bongo Bangla Academy for several years. Now, at the outset, I must convey my sincere thanks and deep gratitude to Ajitji and Foundation for Writers and Literature, and of course, the Sahitya Academy for inviting me to this very timely, very important literary conference on environmental literature. I will read 3 poems from my new poetry collection, the Fawn Gatherers Association. These are all eco-poetries. The first being The Lilies and the Hoe. I should have told you beforehand. I have not kept any pebbles in my shirt pocket. Their postal correspondences of the brooks and the streams, let them circulate ad infinitum. Mountains, too, have now some other things to do, like feeding a night to a hen so that it can crow in the morning, full of noise
of the lilies and the hope. In your voice, I trace a whole city, its buildings, billboards, traffic signals, blinking in all wrong directions. But an ascent is never green. It smells of mulberry and alarm. If you ever climbed a mountain, touching its Adam's apple, sorrow, its primitive ferns, flint, its armpits and ambition, you would have known it is insomnia. A descent is speed. It takes all that we have, the breath from our memory, the fire from our toes, the second part of our night, predicates from our voice, and I still hope to trek to a mountain in spring, in an island east of the Straits of Malacca. Again. Thank you. My second poem I belong to our tea region, so I thought that tea is very much agriculture and it's very sustainable, environmentally sustainable kind of activity that we took up in the northern Bengal. Second flush in Denguaja tea estate. In the middle of Denguaja tea estate in northern Bengal, I lie down with nothing in my head or on my hand. There are no lines on my palms. I want to start all over again, like a tea garden in autumn. I sniff the crushed duos tea leaves and borrow the organic smell of being grounded yet again, to grow the lines of head, fate, sun, life, and heart. And a local train passes through the tea garden like a lump in my throat for being what I am not. I cup my hands before the large shade trees. The stillness after each passage fills my two palms with unknown lines. Like two second flush cups of tea, complete and lingering. As if it is a second bath, I squat before the blades of grass, violet grass flower, and a water tanker with a leaking tap. And I breathe my deepest in November. My third poem, my last poem, The Historians. Warm Tibetan prayer flags wilt at 12 noon. The sun is mildly out of tune, like a weak trumpet in an opera. A few shops still sell local Roxy liquor, and the loud scent of December swallows up the sleepy mist and the redness of geranium saplings on wooden tubs in Delo Hill in Kalimpong. Walking along the jagged cliff like a local guide without a job during quarantine, I stroll and do not look back on anything. The track is deeply freckled with deafening silence of the lonely pine trees. And still, Afid, the old solitary monastery on the cliff, indifferently looks at me, and I look at it hard. Our eyes lock like fellow historians, now retired. I knock at its ornate sandalwood door. Sandalwood essentially knows how to engage stars, the universe, and all metaphors of a yellow afternoon. Old, on a hilltop. The scented heavy door I have always smelled on my palms for long is now closed. Nobody lives there anymore. If time permits, can I read another poem? Do I have time?
Yeah, please. More poem.
Thank you so much. My last poem, Baksha Forest Camp. Every day we return by noon to Baksha Forest Camp barefoot, fetch water and watch the clouds on buckets for more clues. The cirrocumulus clouds are frozen legs over the hills till the next morning. We are searching for Buddha's footprints in the pine forest since the last bee departed from the orange flowers in spring. And we burn enough pine leaves near the old monastery to trace it. Old pine cones and the needles almost know he must have been here somewhere, looking for a quiet place to sit and search for a red lotus lake near the Baksha Hills. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Shekhar sir. I now request Muhammad Nur ul Huda sir to recite his poems, who chairs this session. Huda sir, could you please unmute yourself first? I'll send a request. Fine.
Thank you very much, my dear wife Krishna, and I first take the good name of Mother South Asia Ujitji, whom I have seen after long, at least in this unusual online meeting. I'm also glad to see my friends around South Asia, not beyond. I hope that somebody coming from South Asia will be visible to me. But however, through the voices and utterances of the poets across South Asia, I have got a kind of blend of all the voices of the world today in a post-war situation. Mother Ujitji is there on our head, in our mind, to take care of all our, the dangers that we have to confront. Today, as you have seen, I was long struggling to find my voice. I was coming through a long road blockade. Then, at the long last, I have come to a rendezvous, I should say. It is called Patok Shumabesh, the Assembly of Readers. It's a bookshop. So here, I am responding to your call. And I'm sorry that I could not meet you earlier with my voice. Now, I have been asked to recite my poems as well as say a few things. If I have to introduce myself, I'm a long friend of Foswal and also a good, if not a good son, a son of Mother Ujitji and brother of all of you, including Chador from Bhutan, say from all of you, I should say, Shekhar, Pushpa, Mukul, Binod, and Bimal, whom I am missing just now. He is from Bangladesh. However, with these few things, I want to recite my poems. My first poem should be in Bangla because I believe that mother tongue is the real tongue to speak in a poetic language. Other tongues are available, but they are complementary. যতদূর বাংলা ভাষা ততদূর এই বাংলাদেশ দরিয়া নগরে জন্ম পৃথিবীর সর্বপ্রান্ত আমার স্বদেশ. This is two lines from one of my long poems about Bangla language. যতদূর বাংলা ভাষা ততদূর এই বাংলাদেশ. It means my Bangla, the land, stresses as far as my language stresses. Though I am born in Dorianagar, every corner of this earth is my homeland. This is the argument I gave. Now I switch over to English. Though most of these poems are in translated form, some are in original English. The first poem I want to recite is called Corona Free. We believe that now we are living in a corona-free world, but I believe that we can always live in a corona-free world if we take that kind of measure. Not a corona captive, I am captive to me. World by the universe, I am corona free. Humans from Venice, Kashi, Jerusalem, Babylon, London, New York, Dhaka, Bogota, from Wuhan's fish market to Nairobi gate, pose no more threat. Surely corona is eggless. Since humans are fighters, let all weeks be eggless. Since frontliners are fighters, surely humans are endless. The second poem I'm going to recite is called Gilgamesh Bard. You know who is Gilgamesh, the person who tried to conquer immortality, a bard trying to conquer immortality. Nothing is untrue, no news or views, if you say it from the wisdom of your birth and death. Nothing is true, if you say it from the fabrics of your kingly breath, manufacturing the outfit of an emperor dictator to command others. Oh, sisters and brothers, let's plunge underworld and wing space world in the guise of Gilgamesh Bard, combating the killer to the last, defeating the fake virus, natural or manufactured, upholding the triumph of every blade of intrepid grass of these our mother earth. Now I'm going to read out a very small poem. It is called In Search of Food, 4507 BC. Two young men are in dialogue. Young men, let's kill the wolf, eat its fried liver, scattering bones all over. You can have a deep sip of blood, but don't let a third person in here. The young woman, you understand everything. You understand killing, blood, liver too, but you don't understand a thinker. You dropped a life into my home. Listen, I don't fail to count it right. Now the world population is just 33,000. Finally, I read out a poem on Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. This is his 100th birth centenary we are passing over, 2 years more. Why Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the father of nation of Bangladesh, was killed, and how after that we remember it, how Bengal again, Bangladesh come again into its own ideology, I should say the Bengali nationalism. Jesus Mujib, I compare him with a person no less than Jesus. You could become Eichmann, the story of a killer, or declare the capital punishment, but what an astounding artery cruised to your heart. With innocent Bengalis' blood, the monsters played holy. That power and that indomitable spirit in your magnanimous heart, still you forgave them. Oh, Father, you did not blow up the monsters' skulls. So the impostors, the fake priests, read the verdict of revenge in company of the dark. Oh, Father, with 2 hands spread, you are the name of ultimate sacrifice. Children's sins wiped away through your Bengali blood. Flow of the Ganges won't stop, neither will stop Bengali poets' kneel. The blood won't dry too, oh Father, you are Jesus Mujib. With these few things, I conclude my reading, and as a chair of this session, I said that I did very least for this session, but hats off to every poet who are uttering their own souls. Poetry is nothing but the expression of soul. Thank you, Ajitji, Mother South Asia.
Hearty thanks, Huda sir. Thanks to Shekhar sir, Mukul sir, Vinod sir, Pushpaji, and Shadar ma'am. Let us together heartily thank Ajit ma for being with us all along, and thanks for her intermittent, encouraging, clasping hands. Thanks a lot, Ajit ma. The session ends here, finally, and let us look forward for the next one, which starts right at 11:30 and meant for fiction readings. Thanks a lot.